Hi everyone, my name is Soumya Johnson. Today I'm going to talk about IT assurance framework. We know that information technology is advanced now. One of the important issues on the agenda of senior executive today is that the effectiveness of internal control on information technology. Today, the information technology is advanced and the manual process were replaced by technology-based solutions. In addition to that, firms have to meet expectations and demands for the right information from shareholders, regulatory bodies, and other stakeholders. Actually, it makes critical for automated internal controls to be effective and efficient. This actually makes more responsibility on assurance professionals because they have to ensure the quality, objectivity, consistency, and reliability of their IT control assessment. This ITF is the solution for this. This framework is designed to meet the continuing the need of IT assurance professionals. So, what is an ITF? ITF. This ITF is a comprehensive and good practice setting reference model, which includes standards. These standards which address to IT, audit and assurance professionals, roles and responsibilities, their knowledge and skills, and diligence, and how to conduct and report how to report the IT reports, etc. And it includes this framework which defines the terms and concept which is specific to IT assurance, and it includes the guidance and tools and techniques which are helpful for the planning, design, and conduct and report of IT audit and assurance assignments. So, next I'm going to talk about what is the concept of this ITAF framework. This ITAF is based on ISACA material. This uh, this ITAF is a single source through which IT audit and assurance professionals can able to request their guidance, research the policies and procedures where needed to develop an IT audit, and how to and obtain audit and assurance programs, and which will help to produce an effective audit reports. This designed as a living document. Another peculiar feature of this IT audit is that it's designed as a living document, which means it is flexible and it can adapt to the available technology and it make more user friendly. Next, I'm going to talk about to whom does this ITAF can be applied. This ITAF can be applied to those who act as a capacity of IT audit and assurance professionals, means those who engaged in providing assurance on some components of the IT applications and infrastructure. It mainly designed for IT assurance professionals. And this framework can also used for the wider audience, which include the senior management, boards, and the user of IT and assurance reports. So, when should this ITF can be used? This application framework, which is prerequisite to conduct any or IT audit and assurance frameworks. These ITF designs which recognize that the IT audit and assurance options face varying requirements and different assignments, which will be ranging from an IT focused audit to participate in financial or operational audit. The another important that it is not designed to address any specific requirements which are respect to consultative and advisory works. Next, I'm going to talk about this ITF framework contain four core components. The first one is Code of Professional Ethics. Next, Audit and Assurance Standard and audit guidelines and audit tools and techniques. The first one is IT Code of Professional Ethics. This Code of Professional Ethics is applicable to ISACA members only, those who hold any credentials sponsored by the ISACA. And this code of professional ethics, which establish some set of acceptable behavior for a member of IT, audit, and assurance profession. The main aim of this code of ethics is that to guide the professional conduct of its members. The next main core component of the IT audit framework is that their standard. This standard is one of the is a mandatory requirements for IT audit and assurance. This IT audit and assurance standard is divided into three categories. The first category is general standard. This general standard is a guiding principles to do the IT assurance options for their operations. This standard is applicable to conduct all the assignments, IT audit and assurance functions, ethics and independence, objectivity, due care, competency, and the skills. Next is performance standard. This performance standard is help to conduct the assignments such as planning and supervision, risk and materiality and resource mobilization, supervision and the assignment management, audit and assurance evidence, exercising of professional judgment and due care. The next is reporting standard. This reporting standards, which is record um, for the final report, which include the type of reports, means of communication, and information communicated. The next core component of the IT assurance framework is guidelines. These guidelines is very important. These guidelines which give directions and information about IT assurance and professionals. Here, IT this standard is mandatory, but this guidelines is not mandatory component. But this is helpful for them to do the IT report, IT auditings. So while they were doing the IT auditing or implementing, applying, or justifying any departure from the IT standards, this IT assurance function can use these guidelines. And these guidelines also help to clarify the relationship between the enterprise activities and initiatives and those undertaken by the IT. The next core section of the ITF framework is tools and techniques. These tools and techniques which provide additional guidelines, but it's not set as a requirements. In these tools and techniques, which includes different tools which will be helpful for their IT auditing. It's contain IT audit reports, white papers, journals, IT audit and assurance programs, COVID-5 family of products, etc. Next, ITF section. This ITF is divided into different sections. The first section is section 1000. This section 1000, which um, which provide the introduction to the ITF, which contain how to use ITF assurance framework, important terms and definitions, how this publication is organized, and the code of contents. All these were included in this section. And the second section is section 2000. This section 2000, which include the overview and the use of IT assurance standard. I already talked about the general standards, performance and reporting standards. These standards were included in section 2000. And section 3000, which include IT assurance guidance. This IT assurance guidance, which include the guidance for enterprise topics, IT management process, and IT audit and assurance process, and how using the COBIT in IT assurance process, auditing IT general controls, auditing IT application controls, auditing specific requirements, IT audit and assurance management. Um, this section contains the guidance for doing this auditing. And the section 4000, which include IT audit and assurance tools and techniques, which will be helpful for doing this IT auditing. This is other sections for IT auditing. And now I am going to talk about using Itaf for doing an auditing. How to use this Itaf framework. Firstly, determine audit and assurance or activity. What this maybe it may be include risk management or IT process. Anyway, whatever it is. First is determine the audit or assurance activity. Second, identify the appropriate section of the item. I already talked about different section in the item. These items include standards, guidelines, and the tools and techniques. So, which will, which you needed for your IT auditing work, just identify the appropriate section from the item. Then review the section description. It includes the guidelines. For example, for IT risk assessment, there is a guidelines for them how to do that IT auditing on risk assessment. The select decide selection and review the section guidelines and review the list of tools and techniques and select the appropriate tools and techniques and then obtain audit assurance programs and conduct audit work in accordance with the Section 3800 guidelines. So, so I'm going to talk about sample implementation of ITAP. This ITAP section 34700 which is focused on IT risk assessment. I already talked about the different section in the ITAP. The third section, that is 3000, which include 5 topics, including IT assurance guidance, enterprise topics, IT management process, IT audit and assurance process, IT audit and assurance management. Now I just give a sample implementation on how to audit IT risk. We know that every company is successful in long term, which is depend upon how they deal with the business risk. So this ITAF is an effective tool to use for the audit of IT risk assessment. Here, this ITAF divide this individual process into micro topics and provide a mark that include applicable to ISACA resource to execute the task being described. This resource which include the appropriate section of the COBIT, IT governance documents and guidelines, ISACA research document and other relevant guidance. So the IT auditor can roadmap how to execute an effective audit. So this ITAP section 34730 is focused on IT risk assessment. This which include the first area of this IT risk assessment activity include IT risk identification, which divide into 6 perspectives of IT, that is availability, infrastructure, integrity, project, and security. And the second area is a multiple risk and cross enterprise risk. The third area takes into consideration the factors that can negatively impact the company ability to achieve the business goals. The final is determining the risk on doing nothing when such inaction can result in increasing the risk. So this is an effective tool used by the can be used by IT assurance or audit professions to do their IT audit on IT risk assessment. So the benefit of this tool is not only the identification of the silent issues, but also is a mapping features. That means this item identifies the relevant literature, tools, and COBIT section for the IT auditor to consider the analyze those aspects in the IT topic. For example, here the COBIT information security governance guidance for board directors and executive management second edition, etc. So this will help the ITAP IT auditing professions can identify the relevant tools which will be used for to do the audit on this section. This is the third edition of ITAP, which include all the IT standards, IT and assurance standard, guidelines, and tools and techniques need for IT auditor to do their um, IT assignments. The information included in this document is highly valuable, is very valuable for IT auditor. This document can be applicable to any audit or formal commitment to evaluations. So, one of the peculiarity of this document is that it's a living document. Means this is very flexible to adopt the available technology or available tools and technology here, and is very user friendly. So this framework, this framework, this framework is very important and is useful for